Good afternoon, everyone. This is DJ Anderson, and I am here with the one and only Hope Yoder. And we're excited to bring to you today's Craft and Cut webinar. And today's topic is wine to water bottle glass etching. This is going to be a very interesting webinar for everyone. I know there's a lot of people that want to learn how to do glass etching, and Hope is excited to be able to present this to you. But before we get started, just want to go over one quick thing. You do have the ability to ask a question pertaining to this webinar. You'll use your control panel, and you'll have a question section, and you'll see a Q&A. When you do have a question, just make sure you type it into the box, and make sure that you press send so that it goes to our team. And we'll be happy to answer any questions pertaining to this webinar. If you have any other questions outside of the webinar, make sure to contact tech support. And Hope, are you there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, DJ. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm going to turn control over to you. And so you should see that coming up on the screen. I'll let you know when I can see your screen here. I can see your screen, so we are ready to get going.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm broadcasting from sunny Sarasota, Florida, and we're going to talk about glass etching. So if we haven't met before, I hope to meet you at a show or an event. And let me open Craft and Cut to start with. We're going to be making some different designs, and I got to tell you, I just got back from California last night on the red eye. So hello to all my fans and all the new friends that I met at PCI show. I know a lot of people bought Craft and Cut for the first time, and I was so excited to let them know, get on here to watch the webinar about glass etching. So let me just go over a review. When you open your Craft and Cut software, you're going to get this screen. And if you're like me, a lot of times I close pop-up windows and don't really pay much attention to them. But in here, I wanted to go over webinars. I get asked that probably the #1 question is 4 p.m. Eastern time. I'm in Australia. There's no way I can possibly watch that. Or I missed it. I wanted to pull over on the side of the road. And please don't do that to watch the webinar. Here's good news. The webinar you can watch right here by clicking on webinar, and this will take you to the past webinars that we've done. So there's 5. You can watch them at your leisure. Also, if you go to my webpage, which is hopeyoder.com, and go under video clips, I have 2 pages of Craft and Cut software videos. So there's a lot of resources there for you. So let's go back to Craft and Cut. So webinars. Also, I get asked a lot of questions. Hey, can I email you and will you tell me how to do this or that? And I really wish I could, but I'm not able to do that. So there is a support ticket. If you have problems or questions about the Craft and Cut software, click here, and this will take you to the Craft and Cut support page. And there's 2 lovely ladies that are standing by to help you with this. So make sure you fill out your serial number, your operating system, and this information, and don't forget to hit submit. So if you need support, this is where you're going to find support. All right, let's go back. Those are 2 important things I get asked all the time. Now, I'm going to show you an application video for glass etching, and you'll find some software videos and application videos right here. So if we go down to glass etching, vinyl glass etching. So let me open this video and turn my sound down. So I'm not going to play the whole video, but I want you to be able to know where this is so that you can watch it later. So while this webinar is about the Craft and Cut software, I'm going to talk about different products used to do etching and etch right in front of you. So hopefully this will be super helpful. And here's the wine bottle. So you can see the completion of doing this right here. So let me close this out, and we'll go back to the Craft and Cut screen. All right, so I've got a bunch of pictures for you I want to show you. And let's just start. Let me make these bigger so you can see them. This is the actual bottle that's in the webinar or in the glass etching video that I just showed you. So we're going to take some built-in designs that you have already and make this water bottle. Here's a couple of friends and myself. We did this at an expo in January, and we made a lot of water bottles. So they're really fun, urban, and upscale to make. In fact, there's a tea room in town that has water bottles, and I got the idea from there. They turned the water bottles into wine bottles. Now here's an idea. Here's something that I made for Christmas last year for a lot of my family members. Glass etching casserole dish. And I want to tell you, when you buy a casserole dish, make sure you get a good quality brand one. Don't go to the dollar store for something that you're going to bake. So we used our kitchen applique fun embroidery designs to put the spoon and the fork and then the name on the back. Now, did you know that you could etch a colored wine bottle? And I want to give a shout out to my good dear friend Kimberly Town. She created this sample using a sandblaster. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. So she took a beautiful colored wine bottle and used built-in designs into the craft and cut and etched a circular monogram. So if you've not tried this on a colored wine bottle, it does work. And a shout out to my husband Mar for the great photo. Here's also another sample that Kimberly made. And Kim used a glass etching block kit that you find at a craft and hobby store. And Love You to the Moon and Back is actually one of the SVG files from my chalkboard sketch. And it's a little bit darker, and she used some rub and buff to make it stand out. So I'll show you that product in a minute. Oh, I have some more pictures. Let's see where they are. Okay, let's do this. Perfect. Here's also another little picture that we did with a little mirror and a circle and a monogram. Here's a little cupcake that we've etched glass on. So what I did today, when I got back from the event, I made some new samples, and I wanted to show you. You're going to create the design in Craft and Cut, and here I'm using my Scan and Cut 2 to cut out the designs. I'm going to cut on a medium called vinyl, decal vinyl, and I like to use the Endura Gloss Vinyl or Oracal 651. Here I'm weeding the design, so the part that I want the etching cream or the sandblaster to etch, I'm going to remove that part of the vinyl. The rest stays intact. Here's a picture of the sweet tea design that I created today. I had so much fun. I'm going to do a long blog post on my blog later to give you detailed directions on the sweet tea design. And there I'll talk about the different types of etching. So we'll give you some information on that tomorrow. Now you're going to need something called transfer tape, and it usually comes on a very large roll. And so I've just cut a picture of transfer tape, or a piece, bigger than my vinyl. So let me go back a picture. I need to get this vinyl, just like it is, off of the release paper and onto my glass so I can etch it. Look at that picture. Do you know how hard it would be to pick it up and use it like a sticker where I just peeled it off the paper? So that's where this transfer tape comes in. You're going to lay this sticky tape over the weeded vinyl. And here's a picture of me doing that. You're going to lay it down, and then we're going to take a scraper or a credit card and go ahead and scrape it down really hard so that the vinyl will come off of the release paper and then stick to the sticky tape. So here I've done that. And we took a mason jar. Actually, my daughter Olivia doesn't know I took her favorite mason jar that she uses for sweet tea. We live in the South, so everything's about sweet tea. So hopefully she won't mind, and if she does, I guess I'll be looking for another mason jar. So I put the transfer tape and centered it on the jar. Now I did clean my jar really well. I've learned the hard way. Take some ammonia or glass cleaner with ammonia in it and go ahead and clean that and wipe it dry. I'm going to scrape it down, and then I'm removing the release tape so that the vinyl sticks to the jar. Another trick along the way is if you have a heat gun, I will use a heat gun to heat and warm up the vinyl, and this helps get some of the air bubbles out. So if you look, if you can see my mouse, there's air bubbles in this in different places, but as long as there's no air bubble around the opening, you're good to go. Then I took this outside and I taped off the rest of the glass with just an inexpensive masking tape or painter's tape. So the whole jar is taped off. And here's my new big bad toy. I got a new etch compressor and an etcher, and I use it for the first time today. I wish you guys were here, but I took photos, so again, we'll blog about that another day. When I held this up to the light, you can see that it's frosted looking, from clear to frosted from using the etching cream. Now on the video from the Craft and Cut, which I'll show you again in case you just joined us, I used an etching cream. So you can do this two different ways. Here's a quick finished picture of the etched mason jar. So wiping the jar off with a glass cleaner. I want to show you one more thing before I go on. I actually did some tile, and let's see if we'll get this up here. And let me add this to that. All right, so the glass etching jar. Did you know that you can etch a tile? And let me get to that picture right here. So I did my husband's monogram, and I thought I have just an inexpensive tile from my hardware store, and I'm going to etch that and put felt on the back so we can make a coaster. So I've got that on my tile and I'm taping it off, and I'm going to use my sandblaster. And here, when I'm done, I'm going to use something called Rub and Buff, and you can purchase this at a craft store. So here I've already sandblasted my tile, and you can kind of see a little bit of the grit. When you're done, I'm going to leave the vinyl on and wipe it off with soap and water so that I remove the grit. Open a little bit of this Rub and Buff and put it on a cloth or a white paper towel, and you're going to rub it and buff it off. And what happens is the rough area that we've etched, whether we use etching cream or a sandblaster, then we'll take the dye. And so here you have an example of a way to do tile. So let's go to Craft and Cut. All right, again, if you're just joined me, to see glass etching from start to finish, you're going to find a video that I did back in January under Help. Then go to Craft and Cut Training, Application Videos, and you're going to scroll down to find Vinyl Etching, and I'll mute this again. And this will be a 16-minute video from start to finish. Now let me just get a little picture of taping this off, and then I'm going to use some etching cream, and I give you hints and details here. And so for those of you who've never seen this, you're making a one-time vinyl stencil, and here in the picture I'm spreading some cream, some etching cream over the openings. You're going to follow the manufacturer's directions on the bottle, wipe it off, and you're good to go. All right, so let's get started. First, open a new screen. If you're new to Craft and Cut, or you haven't had the time that you've wished to use it, you can show the grid on or off, or you can show the cutting mat. So in the cutting mat, depending on what cutter you have, if you'd like to see the mat, you can do this by turning your mat on and off. Next, we're going to use the Hope Yoder library designs, and those were inside of your Craft and Cut box. There were 264 designs, and I've done a video. You can check the Craft and Cut webpage or my webpage, hopeyoder.com, for the links on how to add the designs to your Hope Yoder library. So again, if you click here and the library is empty, it just means that you have an opportunity to load all of those 264 free designs into the library. So to do that, it's really simple. You'll go under File, Import Hope Yoder Designs. And again, those were on the CD inside of the Craft and Cut box. All right, so I've loaded mine for convenience. And we're going to start. You have circular monograms. L is for left. Notice the last initial. And R for the right letter, and then C for the center letter. Let's come down and I'll show you one of my favorite monogram circles or a monogram design. So designs like this are for those center circular monograms. So here's a design. Let's open a new page. I'm going to come to the Hope Yoder library again, and if you didn't recognize that, anything with a cut out circle are designed specifically so your circular monogram can go in here. So we have an apple and an anchor, a basketball, a baseball, a pretty Disney type bow. You've got bowling. And if we keep going down, oh, here's some champagne glasses. That would be really great for a wedding or an anniversary. Here is a circular monogram border, a cross. You've got a deer. You've got drums, fish, and in here are some different flowers. Here's some frames. And let's go down to the one that I used was a square and a circle. And let's find this. So this is called just square, and it's one of my favorite ones. It's so versatile. So I'm going to open that, and that's going to be the base of the design. And let's go back to the picture one more time here. So this is what I'm creating. So I put H2O in here, or you could put T, or you could use a circular monogram. So that's what that looks like. So you can see the design starting to form. Now I'm going to unfill this. Filled in the properties window just means that there's going to be a color filled in between the cut lines. It doesn't affect the way anything cuts. So if I hit fill, deselect fill and apply, you can see the design. And this design is already welded together. So let's fill it back up. And now I'm going to, instead of doing H2O, which you could easily do by using text, well, we'll do this one first. I'll do H2O. And you can pick any font that you want, including true type fonts. So for this one, I think I used rounded. Perfect. So I'm going to get H2O. Now, if you haven't worked with the text, let's zoom in here. And now that I've selected the zoom tool, I'm going to need to reselect the text so that I can move this together. And I want the letters to touch because I'm going to weld them together. So it's one unit. I don't want three different objects. I actually want one piece of vinyl here. All right. Well, now I'm going to click off of the text tool. And, well, I think let's play with this just a little bit. Notice how we're getting a little bit of overlap here, and that's okay. It's going to cut fine. It's just the way that we're viewing this. Perfect. All right, I like that. Now, to weld these designs together, you first have to break them apart. So if you notice, weld is in this area, and I'm not able to activate it. And that's because text needs to be broken apart. So I'm going to right click and break apart the text. Let me undo this a little bit here. Up, redo here. And let's do H2O and rounded. Apply. And I click on the text tool so that I can find break apart text or break up text. There we go. Now, each letter is its own individual object. So I'm going to space these however I want. Let's make the 2 a little bigger. And I want these to overlap. I've got them overlapped. Let's unfill them so you can see this. So you can look and see in this area they overlap and touch. Now I notice this letter 2, I really would like it to touch a little more. So before I do anything else, I'm going to align these by selecting the 3 letters and come over our alignment tools, and I want to vertically center align them. Perfect. Now my next object that I need to deal with is overlapping areas. So if you look at the H and the 2 and the O, I can now weld them. So click on the drop-down menu and hover your mouse until you find Weld. And when I select Weld, I want you to watch what will happen here, here, and here. Actually, let's see, I may need to move this letter 2 over a little bit. The principles for welding an object mean you have to overlap it. It has to not only touch, but overlap. So right in this area, I think that looks better. Let me align these again. Zoom out. And I'm going to select these. All right, let me select all 3 items. And I can select them by dragging a box, or since I'm having trouble, I can select them in the layers window. And let me align these again. Now let's look what happens to the weld area when I activate that. So I'm going to weld this together. Perfect. Now I can fill this back in so you can see what that looks like. By unfilling an object, you can tell if it's welded. And I like the way that looks. Perfect. Now, what I'd like to do is take this and weld it into the circle and the square. So if you notice, I'm double clicking on my magnifying glass to bring this full screen. I really love that feature. So I'm going to just drag my design. Notice how unfilling an object is really helpful when you're trying to weld. So I have this area overlapped and that area overlapped. I'm going to select all items and I want to center these 2. So open your alignment tools, drag your mouse over to centering the design. Now when I do that, notice what happens. I think I like it better this way. So rather than centering it, I'm going to align it that way. Perfect. Now what I'm going to do is activate Weld so that this will be one piece. With everything selected, Weld is still activated because it was my last selection. And let's see here. I don't want it to go away. So let me change it to a different color. And that didn't do it. All right, we'll go back. Let's take a look at my water bottle here. Up on that one, I didn't weld the letters. It's been a while since I've made that one. I apologize. So I'm going to keep this so it's not welded. I'm just going to weld the letters together like I did, get that centered, and I've got my water bottle design finished. Now when you look at this, when the objects that you're going to remove would be the white area. That's for making a decal. But if you were going to etch glass, and the part that you want to be etched would be the black area. So if I'm going to etch this, I do need to add a bounding box here. So I can go ahead and add an artwork box. so that I have an area to work with. And I'm going to go ahead and just center all of these. And now I've got my design ready to cut. So for the next step, we're going to run this through Save to Cut. Now, Save to Cut is like having a digital cutting assistant, or me, Hope Yoder, sitting right next to you. So we're going to activate this. And remember the video that I showed you when you go under Craft and Cut Training and Application Video says vinyl glass etching. And that's because you need to cut vinyl to make your stencil. So that's really helpful to know what material you're cutting. So let's run this through Save to Cut. Select, now Save to Cut is brilliant. It's just 2 questions that you have to answer. You have to know the answer to the first 2 questions, and then Craft and Cut, or the Save to Cut feature, will tell you everything you need to know to physically cut out your design on your digital cutter. Number 1 is, what brand of cutter are you going to be using today? We'll leave it default at the Scan and Cut. What type of material or fabric are you going to be using? So we're going to use vinyl to make the stencil. So I'm going to select vinyl. So right there, that's it. 2 questions, I've answered them. So let's see what the Craft and Cut, Save to Cut wizard tells me to do next. Next, it's going to give me the settings based on my 2 answers. I'm using a Scan and Cut. I need a matte. That's 12 by 12. I'm going to use the standard blade. I'm going to put my blade depth at 1.75. In the Tools menu, cut speed 3, blade pressure 1, and I'm going to cut it 1 time. So that's beautiful. If you're new to digital cutting and you own a Scan and Cut, this is going to give you suggested start settings. Also, application. You're going to place the paper side down and kiss cut. That means you don't want to cut through the paper. Remember the pictures where I weeded away the part that we wanted to etch? So you're not going to cut through the paper. And then when you get ready to cut this out, you're going to leave the release paper on the back and place the paper side down. And here's a YouTube video for single vinyl or double vinyl. All right, we're going to say finish. And what happens is this is going to save it as an FCM file. So that means even if I don't know what type of file my digital cutter reads, Save to Cut does, FCM. So once we save this, then we will get a pop-up window that opens. And in this pop-up window, you'll get the same settings so that you can print this template to create a water bottle template. And if your design is smaller than 8.5 sheet of paper wide, it'll be 100%. So then you're going to take your design, your FCM design, and place it on a USB stick, put it in your cutter, and cut it out. All right, so that's the water design. Here's, again, another design that you could use that was in the Hope Yoder library. So let's go ahead and do a circular monogram. So we're going to spell out T. So my left letter is going to be the T. So we're going to import that. And we'll get rid of this design here. So I have the left T. I'm going to then get the letter A, which would be the center circular monogram. And where it says R, that means it's a right letter. So I'm looking for E, that's a center. So it would have a C on the end. So T, E. Great. Now let's find the right letter A. And again, that's a left letter because it ends in L for left. So let's go find the letter A. Here it is, letter A, and it's a right letter. Awesome. Now, with these letters, we're going to align these, and I'll leave one further apart. if you select all of the letters, you've got some really great distribution tools right here. So if we open this menu, you can evenly distribute the designs equally using this. So if you miss that, notice how my letters move. But what I want to do is make sure I get my letters close, a little closer. So for instance, if I was to do that, it would evenly space them based on the furthest distance apart. So I want to get them a little closer. And we'll move one out of alignment there so I can show you this. So now I'm going to select distribute horizontally. Perfect. Now I'm going to align them by opening my alignment window, and I'm going to vertically center align them. Next, group them so you don't accidentally move it out of the way. Perfect. Now, for the design that we just created, you could use the same circle in a square monogram here. So all I need to do is size this, and I'll change this to a different color. That looks pretty good. I'm going to collapse all of these. Now I want to center the circle inside of the square in the text, so hit center align. The last thing that I did is I just used straight text to spell the word sweet in lowercase. And I wanted it the same width as my square. So in the layers window, I'm going to select the artwork square, and then I want to see how big it is. It is 3.56. So I'm going to change this to 3.56 and then select apply. And this just hovers right above here. You can select all items, and this time we want to horizontally center them. Group it. I changed it all to one color. The last thing that I did is I created a box. So let me go back to those pictures. When you're reading, you need a bounding box. And so, let's see here, we'll go through these again. So here, I needed to add a box so that when I place it on my jar, if you look in this picture, I need to remove the parts that I want to etch. So that means I need to change this design a little bit, or just add a box by using a built-in artwork tool. So let me come down to 75%. And to add a box, it's really very easy. Here's the rectangle or the artwork. I can select this and just draw a box around my design. I can fill it in, unfill it, and we'll select all of these items. They should be grouped, and then we can center align these. Once I have this how I want it, I'm going to change it to one color. Now, if you notice, I changed this to one color because in my layers window, I have two different colors of vinyl, but I only want to cut this as one unit. If you don't save this as one color, when you run it through Save to Cut, it'll create two different cut files for you, and we really only need one. So with all items selected, select any color, and now we're ready to run this through Save to Cut. Again, I would say I'm going to be using a scan and cut and vinyl material. Select next. This has all the cut settings. I'm going to name it Sweet Tea, and I'm doing that so I can delete it. FCM. Now you can override this. If you have more than one cutter, SVG for Scalable Vector Graphic is the universal language that most cutters read one way or another. So I could overwrite that and then save that. And then I've got this design to print out. So there's the sweet tea. Now let's undo this a little bit to show you a couple more borders since we're talking about monograms here today. So I'm going to take this artwork. Actually, let's take the tea, and I'm going to just put this in a new screen. And if we open the Hope Yoder library, let me show you some other options that you would have. The apple design, I'm going to group this and check how cute that is. Wouldn't that make a great picture? A glass etching pencil bottle, or you could do this out of layered vinyl and make a pretty cup. Let's see what else we have in a Hope Yoder library. We've done the apple. The anchor is really cute. And again, you're just going to size these however you want. We've got some more great designs. I think there were probably about 20 different circular borders. And what I mean by that is, again, like we've just shown. So check out this basketball. Group it before you move it. Doesn't that look great? So I'm going to delete this. Let's see what else we had. Basketball. Maybe you have piano teacher. Maybe you bowl, or look at this cute little Disney type of a bow. So really, you could make your own design, or you could do this. Let's show you one more design. Maybe somebody's in the band. Awesome. So don't forget to look through all these beautiful monograms that you have here. So I want to show you one more thing. One of our educators, hey, Miss Anna, if you're listening, did this really cute design. And we didn't have time to put it on a fishbowl, but she made the cutest fishbowl glass etching design. So let me show you how she created that. In the custom shapes, there is, if you go under, I think it was under nature, animals, you've got this cute little fish design. So if you bring in this fish, we'll unfill it there. Let's see, how big is he? He's 3 inches. Let's just say we want him an inch. Oops. You see what I forgot to do? I'm going to check maintain aspect ratio and apply, and we have one fish. Next, I'm going to fill him in, and I want to copy him. So I am going to right click and say copy, or I like to use keyboard shortcuts. But if you're not familiar with them, here's copy, and then I can paste it. I'll move him over, and now I want to flip him going the other direction. Notice this little arrow. Let me zoom in. I can rotate this by hovering my mouse and angle the fish so they go up and down. Now I'd like to cut out the fish eye. So what I can do is create a circle. And I'm going to color this circle in something different, and let me fill it. We've got a fish eye. Perfect. Now for this, let me copy this again, and I'm going to bring my little fish eye over here. Now I've got 2 fish, but if you look in my layers window, it looks like I have 2 layers. This would cut out green and then yellow, but I want 1 layer, so I'm going to select all items, and if I use the paper clip or the combine icon, what happens is it's going to punch a hole through my fish, and when I do that, I'll be left with 1 layer of vinyl, which is what I want. So check this out. Bam. Perfect. That's a way to use combine. Let me unfill this. You can see I've got cute little fish eyes. This would be so cute. What if your fish's name was Ernie? Or we had a fish when my daughters were young. They're 19. Oh my goodness, they're almost 20 and 18 years old. But they had fish, and they named them Goldie for their goldfish. And the first thing they do is when they woke up, they'd go look at their fish. And then they had beta fish when they got straight A's, they got to pick out fish. How cute would this have been to put the fish's name? All right, enough about my cute little stories. So here we have fish. Let me come down and resize this so you can see what I've got here. Now I need some waves, and this was really great. Anna told me she was so excited. She used one of my previous videos to learn how to use the Artwork Auto Wizard. So if you look in the custom shapes, there really wasn't anything for waves. So check out what Miss Anna did. And I'll show you how she created waves. So if you screen capture anything on the internet, and let's just say wave clip art. All right, let's see what we find. Oh, here's an image of waves. First one that comes up. So however you're going to save this image, you're going to just save it to your desktop or folder. So I'm working on a Mac. If you work on a Mac, hold down Command, Shift, and the number 4, and then you can create this. All right, so I've created an image on my desktop. Now let's go back to the wizard. So Auto Artwork Wizard, I'm going to select that, and I'm going to say Find Image, and on my desktop, let's see, I have Craft and Cut Webinar, and then October, and let's see, here's my water image right there. Perfect. So I'm going to select Open, and then I'm going to select Next. Now before I do that, if you've never used this, this is built into the Craft and Cut software. And so this way you can hack images. So have you heard of life hacks? Well, you can hack and make your own image, because the Auto Artwork Wizard will turn a very bad, poor resolution screenshot or image into a vector file. It'll clean up the lines so that you can use it. So check this out. We're going to select Next. This looks good. At this point, I really don't resize this at all. I'm going to leave it like it is. I'm going to say Next. I want the 3 waves. Now, I don't really want white, so I'm going to select white and delete, and that changed it to 3 colors. Select Next. Select Next, and check this out. I have these waves. And so I only want one of the waves. Whoops. So I have just created wave designs by using the Artwork Wizard. So I don't like this one, so I'm going to simply delete it. And let's resize this wave. Oop, and I can resize it this way or go into Transform. Here we go. All right. Oops, I have these combined, so we'll leave this here. And now, if you wanted to change the design in any way, you can unfill it so you can see this. There's another video I've done using the shape tool, so we could make this a little straight, and where it's a little jagged, I could change that if I wanted to, or hit undo just to let you know it's there. Let me fill this in with color. Perfect. Now I'm going to copy this and make another wave and paste it. So we've got 2 little fishies on the wave, and this one I'm going to transform and deselect aspect ratio, and I'm going to make him about 5 inches. There we go. Now let's add some cute text. And we'll call this Fish Fido, whatever his name would be. And that's a little bit big. But while we have that on there, let's see if we can use the envelope tool. So with the envelope tool, actually, let's do this all lowercase. That'd be cute. Perfect. So with this selected, I can right-click and select envelope. And envelope is going to give me the most common forms of shaping text. So let's try this bubble Fido. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, I like that. So there we go. So we'll bring Fido down here. Now also I'm looking at this and the letters should probably be a little closer together so I can easily, I'm hovering my mouse over the blue diamond to bring them together. When I get it like I want it, I'm going to click on select and let's add a box around this. This will be my bounding box. Perfect. I'm going to move the box over a little bit. Right click to collapse all. I'm going to select all items and I am going to make it one color for my Fido. He's so cute. All right, so let's run this one more time through Save to Cut and then we'll be all done. So Save to Cut. Tell it what cutter you're going to use. And again, we're going to do vinyl. Select Next. This gives us all the settings. Next. And let's call this Fido Glass Etching. Now remember, I have one color here, so watch what happens. Fido Glass Etching, save. I'm going to print this file, close him out. Perfect. Now, when I run this through Save to Cut, it creates a WAF file. WAF for Walter A. Floriani, and this is my working file. I can edit this by simply opening this design up, expand here, and on that text, if I decided I didn't want the rounded and I wanted to do the Petra font, I could change, oh, that's cute. I could change that any way that I wanted to. And then I could still do the make some changes to it. So when I ran it through Save to Cut, not only did it create the cut file, it created a working file. So you're going to open the WAF file to edit it. For instance, if I put it on my fishbowl and I decided, oh, in the meantime, from the time that I cut it until I etched it, maybe the fish no longer was with you and he went to fishy heaven. And now your fish is named Ernie. Well, you want to change that text. So you open the WAF file, but to look for the cut file, you're going to import the WAF file. So notice FCM and it put O1. And if you look over here, we've got a preview. So that's pretty great. That gave me one cut of vinyl. And remember back when I said you want to make sure you have two or don't have two layers of vinyl in this area, right here I have 3 colors of vinyl. So watch what happens if I forget to change that into 1. Vinyl, and we'll go through and I will name this, okay, let's name him Ernie. Ernie, and it saves it as an FCM. Perfect. There. Now notice here I've got more than one color. Let me go to a new screen. Now I'm going to import that cut file that I just created, Ernie. Now notice Ernie has 2 files, O1 and O2. O1 looks like that, but O2 is Fido, and I would not want this to be 2 different colors. I would want it to be combined as one. So again, that's why you would want to make sure all of the items were in fact one color, so you only see one layer. And by doing that, you'll have the perfect glass etching design. So let's go through these pictures one more time. And again, where to watch the glass etching video that I did, and it's built into the Craft and Cut. Select that icon, go to Application Videos, scroll down to find Vinyl Glass Etching, and you'll be able to watch this process from start to finish at your own leisure. And here's the finished water bottle. Perfect. So we've got this one, and then we've got another water bottle here that's colored. So you can watch the colored water bottle. And if you wanted to do sweet tea, then you could do a sweet tea design. So there's a lot of different applications that you can do for glass etching. Last reminder, this is where the videos will be on Craft and Cut webpage, and a lot of you ask where our videos are. So if you come here and go to hopeyoder.com and then look under video clips, they'll be right here. If you're looking for the blog, because we are going to do a detailed blog, then you'll go to hopeyoder.com and click on blog, and my daughter Hannah has done some fun little blogs of our products. So here's Mr. Spud Muffin and some different projects that we've done in the past. Last webinar, we did a little more expansion on there, some more glass etching. Here's some pictures. So when you have some time, hop on over to my blog. And until I see you again next month, happy crafting. And that's it, DJ. I hope they enjoyed it. I know you're going to go out and etch yourself a big mug for Thanksgiving, aren't you?
Oh yeah, you know it. Can you hear me okay?